Greetings, welcome to this second video for Babylon, because this is a Babylon battle report where I'm going to talk about all the fights that I mentioned in my earlier video, how hard they actually were, what I did to actually get past them, which ones were the absolutely most difficult, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's get going and start at the beginning of the second arc over in chapter 12. Now, Chapter 12 versus Quetzalcoatl, it's exactly what we thought it would be. Only these four servants down here, Tamamo Summer, Nero Brighton, Heracles, and Lancelot of Berserker, are capable of dealing full damage to her. Now, as you can see, it is actually absolutely very important that you choose option 2 when fighting Quetzalcoatl, because otherwise she gains a big buff of 200,000 HP, upping her up to 610,000, and not only that, but she also get a permanent attack buff. And I can tell you right now, Quetzalcoatl with option 2 will hit your servants for about 3,500 normally, around 7,000 against berserkers. So yeah, this fight can be a little difficult. Now, what I did is I decided to go in with my Heracles, who has his rank 10 bond, the craft essence. I found another Heracles that had the exact same thing. Then I went in with my Helena as support, and I focused her down that way. Now, because they are berserkers, Heracles, their bond CE was actually very important to help them survive long enough in order to deal the damage. That's because they were taking around 7,000 per attack. Now, Quetzalcoatl will usually vary out her attacks, attacking one or the other. It is basically random, but thanks to them and taking so much damage, their MPs were charging up relatively quickly, and Helena made it so that they hit even harder. Also, the fact that their MP's lower defense was actually a very big help, and Tamamo was my first support, well, my first servant as a support, so that she will come in when one went down inevitably and help take her down. So, honestly, the only thing I can say is bring along Lancelot and Heracles if you can, 2 Heracles and a strong support if possible. If you have a waiver, definitely bring him along. If you don't have either of them, grab whoever you can find on your friend list, either a Tamamo Summer, which I have currently on my friend list, or a Nero Bride, and use that to deal as much damage as possible. Now, moving on to 13-6. 6, wait a minute, no. Let's see, what do we have here? Gazer, Luchador, okay. 13, nothing special to be said there. Now let's see, here we go, 14-6. This is another one that actually cost me several attempts to beat. And that's because, as you can see here, this chance-based debuff that basically locks everything is basically 90%. Yeah, it's an insane debuff that you're going to be taking, and removing it is very difficult. However, what I ended up doing is I took along, let's see, what is it? Martha Ryder, the original Martha. That's because she has a skill that cleanses everybody of any debuffs they have. However, if she is afflicted with skill lock, she can't use it. So for that battle, I also switched out my Mystic Code, the one you equip your character with, for the one that actually allows you to completely cleanse one character. So I waited for everybody to have their MPs ready, I cleansed her, she cleansed everybody else, and then we launched MPs, and we took her down, not completely, but we lowered her HP quite a significant amount, allowing us to finish her off with later turns. So that is what I did. So remember, you can't rely on your skills alone, you need somebody that can cleanse, and you will probably need to cleanse that person. So Martha Ryder definitely proving her value as a cleanser during this fight. Now, all the way over to 15 here. Okay, 15-5. Now comes a deity Gorgon. Now this is the first time you actually have to fight her. Now she will deal a lot of damage, as in AoE damage. Now let's see, this is, where is this? Decisive Battle? Armor of Glory, or Mr. Or Demu. I believe this is once you're actually inside a temple. Yeah. Okay, so this is your final battle with Gorgon. Now, as we talked earlier, Gorgon has basically 2 traits. She has Divine, and she is large, I think. No, that's Tiamat. Gorgon is actually female, Divine, and what else does she have? Let's see, she is female, so Jack can definitely deal some extra damage to her. Chaotic and she's evil, so if you have what's it called, Vlad Lancer version from this year's Halloween event, he will also deal extra damage, so that's good. She's weak to Enuma Elish, so original Gilgamesh will deal extra damage to her, and anyone that deals extra damage to Divine or Large, so against Divine, I believe Skathak has a skill that deals extra damage to Divine. Who else? Martha Summer, the one with the swimsuit, she deals extra damage to Divine. And I think that's it. Is there a list down here of who deals extra damage? No, there isn't. Okay, so basically that's it. So bring along Jack if you can find her. She'll deal extra damage, and she can basically fill off her MP bar quite quickly, especially with some support. Mash might be an invaluable here because of her defense up and her Noble Phantasm, allowing you to survive long enough to take her down. So yeah. Notable servants are Jack, Martha, and Scathach Lancer. Bring those along if you have them, and they will help you out tremendously. Now we'll go over to all the way to chapter 18 because this is where battles went from your standard difficult battles to stuff that we weren't really expecting. So first, let's see, 18-1. Okay, this is the first one. So this battle with this corrupted Ushio-Kamaru, now she is actually probably the most dangerous thing you will fight in this entire chapter. And you'll see why later, but anyway. The trick here is go in with as quickly, as quick AoE MPs as you can. If you can stun her or reduce her charge, do that as well. So what I did, because we're up against the Lancers as well, I went in with Altria and Mordred. Altria had a Kaleidoscope equipped, and Mordred had a limit broken imaginary element, and I brought along a friend, Waver Zhugliang, and that allowed him to eliminate both the Lamos very, very quickly, stopping them from launching their MPs at all. And that dealt quite a bit of damage to Ushio-Kamaru as well. Now, the Ushio-Kamaru will launch her MP at return, so luckily Waver's defense buff was actually pretty helpful in surviving that. And after that, it's really just a massive damage raise against her to take her down. Being a Berserker means we have a lot easier time to take her down, but still you need to be careful with her Noble Phantasm because it will hurt quite a bit. Now, Arrow 2, now as you can see, yeah, we're facing off against them again, so I did the exact same thing. Now, luckily, because they are Berserkers and they have only 65,000 HP, one Noble Phantasm from a Mordred with her Buster up and a level 10 Altria attack up, along with Zhugliang's attack up and damage plus buff, was able to eliminate the first wave with one Noble Phantasm. After that, move on to the second wave that they come in, because it's only one wave. Once you kill one takes their place. So Mordred eliminates these first three, and then Altria eliminates these second three, and that's how quickly you can deal with them. If you can also use that with any other strong AoE Noble Phantasm. They are Ushio-Kamaru, so they do have the riding skill, so Nobunaga can also be strong against them. Not only will they deal extra damage because of the Berserker buff, but she deals extra damage to riders, with skill, people with the riding skill, which Ushio-Kamaru obviously does. And I believe who else? Gilgamesh Archer version. Obviously, he deals extra damage to pretty much everybody. And yeah, that's really it for that one. Strong MP is definitely the way to go. Now, 18-3. Nope. 18-4. Let's see. No, nothing there. Nothing surprising there. Okay, for this battle, it really is literally just kill these two Lamos as quickly as possible. And then, quite literally, she will do nothing but debuff you and just keep attacking her until she dies. It really isn't a difficult fight, as long as you take out the Lamo as quickly as possible. And that is it. Okay, now to the actual difficult fights. Number 25. Now, this fight against Lone Ushio-Kamaru is without a doubt the one I had the most trouble with. That is because Ushio-Kamaru has no class. She is essentially a shielder, meaning shield deals and takes normal damage from everybody. This includes Berserkers. Now, the other problem is that as soon as the battle starts, she is going to summon a clone. And not only that, but we're dealing with the Earthquake, meaning any strategy you try to come in with to try and take her down quickly is basically going to be messed with, and you probably won't be able to accomplish it. So this took me about 8 tries to finally do it. And because I don't have any reliable way to give Jack her Noble Phantasm as quickly as possible, and because she will always summon at least one clone with full HP and the same exact abilities, except with the ability to summon a clone, I decided to go with an AoE strategy. And that is, on turn 1, before you can do anything, she summons one clone, so now you're dealing with 2. And then on the second turn, she's going to summon the third one, which means you're dealing with 3. I decided to wait until that turn to use the same strategy of Altria and Mordred with a wave of support and a lot of luck to have them on the initial wave because of the Earthquake. That's why it took me 8 turns to weaken both of everybody as quickly as possible. Now, The regular attacks don't hit that hard, but because we don't have anything we can exploit at them, it did take 3 rounds of Noble Phantasm to take all of them down. However, what you need to know is that they have the exact same abilities that normal Ushiwakamaru has. That means they can buff their attack, and they can dodge everything for 1 turn. So yeah, not fun. What you need to know, which is the most important, is you can't waste damage on a single turn. Once you take them down to around 80,000 HP, they will evade for that turn. Which means that once you see them evade, move on to the next one and deal a single target damage to that one. Hopefully they don't dodge, and then use AoE Noble Phantasms to bring them down as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not sure if these corrupted versions still count as servants, so I'm not sure if Gilgamesh Archer will still deal bonus damage to them. So just bring your best AoE Noble Phantasms. Hope you can get them in the correct order because of the Earthquake. And also, don't be afraid to use Command Seals. I reset 8 times because I didn't want to use any Command Seals at all. But if I had used Command Seals, I would have finished it on the 2nd or 3rd attempt because I was very close on those. But yeah, this is one of those fights where using your Command Seals is definitely a viable way to finish off the fight. And that is it for those. Other than that, this is just a regular fight, again, taking lots of damage. And here I did use Gorgon. She is definitely an interesting Avenger. However, obviously bringing along AoE or single target archers is definitely the way to go. Lastly, chapter 21. Now this is where things got very interesting. So during this fight, as you can see, this is the first time where we get a bunch of buffs. However, we are still dealing with 3,000 damage per turn, but we are here for 4,000 damage at the end of every of our turns. And they have a relatively higher death rate for the duration of the battle. So during this fight, I did what I recommended, and I grabbed Mr. King Hassan there, who has a 10% chance to kill anything with his normal attacks, and his Noble Phantasm has a 100% at MP level 5, it has a 200% chance, minus the death resistance, natural death resistance of everything else. However, I don't think it killed anything with it. Yeah. Damage. So as you can see, you need to overcharge it a lot in order to basically guarantee the kill. Because most enemies in the game have about 45% chance of death resistance. So casting it at 100% means it's essentially a 50% chance. So what I did for this fight is I went in with my 2 basically assassins that can instantly kill. That is Summer Skathek, who has an AoE Noble Phantasm that has a chance to kill, and Ryogi Shiki, which also has a chance to kill. Now, Ryogi did not survive very long, unfortunately, but Skathek did kill an entire wave with her Noble Phantasm because we got lucky. That's because Hassan has a ability that lowers the death resistance of all enemies on the field. He also managed to kill three of them with his normal attacks. He killed 1 with his Noble Phantasm, and Skathek killed 4 with her Noble Phantasm in total. Outside of that, because of the buff we have, it's very difficult for you to die, honestly, unless you take the Noble Phantasms from the Bell Lamu, which can hit pretty hard. So making sure to avoid or have guts or a strong way of healing through that damage is definitely recommended. Outside of that, it's definitely an interesting fight and a very good chance to test out Mr. Hassan. Now 21-5. Now this fight is actually probably the most fun fight in the entire game. Mostly because we have access to Merlin with an MP level 5 and we have the protection from the Netherworld buff. Now, because of this, Tiamat has a tendency of using a lot of AoE damage abilities as her normal attack. She can buff herself with a buff that makes it so that anything that she attacks will get debuffed. Let's see, deals damage, removal buff, can buff herself with damage reduction buffs or gain 1 in this. It says right here, she can debuff the whole team as well with Curse. Luckily, Merlin's heal as the 3rd part as an MP chain heals for around 1,500 on that turn, and I believe 1,500 for the next 2 turns. But the important part is that his MP grants everybody constant NP charge for 3 more turns. Meaning that's basically a guaranteed 30% charge from his, and then all the AoE damage you're dealing will help you charge up everybody else's, allowing you to do constant 3 MP chains in a row. And that's why the battle is probably a lot of fun, because the amount of healing you get from this, and from the Wizard of Flowers, and from anything else you can bring along, means you generally don't have to worry about dying, at least during this fight. However, as we move on to 21.6, Merlin is no longer available, and as of the recording, he is still no longer available to summon, meaning we have no way of having constant healing and MP charge available to us. So this fight did take a couple of tries to make sure I got it right. Don't grab that Gilgamesh, he doesn't help you as much. He does have some unique dialogue, but unless you actually understand Japanese, you really can't understand what he's saying, if we're perfectly honest. So what should you bring along? Well, I decided to bring along a Weber Zhugliang to help me out. And obviously, you want stuff that hit against large and divine. And with all the things I tried, the most invaluable servant on this fight is Lancer Skathek. She has basically a guaranteed stun, she has an ability that grants her increased damage against divine, and she has some survivability along with a quick up ability that makes her deal with more damage, so she alone could deal between 100 and 120,000 damage with her Noble Phantasm. Outside of that, servants that deal damage to the divine that I could recommend. Let's take a look at the list we had down here. Nobunaga is an AoE Noble Phantasm, so she doesn't deal that much damage. Arjuna and Karna, I'm pretty sure the death rate will be so low he will never kill. And being an AoE Noble Phantasms, both of them, they probably will not deal that much damage. Skathek, as you can see, is invaluable here. And Kindu, I didn't try because I'm not sure on his abilities. So his Noble Phantasm and an ability to deal something. Buster Performance, that. Present Detection, that doesn't help us. Thirst Skill, yeah, none of those actually help. So let's take a look at his Noble Phantasm. Here we go. So guaranteed stun on divine enemies, that's why. And it's a single target damage that deals damage to one and reduces their defense. So Enkidu is definitely another good option. So of this entire list, Skathek, Lancer, and Enkidu are definitely the ones you should try and grab or use against this fight. Outside of that, it really is just a very, very long fight, if we're perfectly honest. Because of her father debuffs and everything, it can take a while to take down. And her Tiamat's Noble Phantasm, let's see, can lock the MP of one. This was very, very annoying because she can lock MP for one turn. Let's see, what does we have to deal with the whole team? Buff herself, yes. MP damage, deal to arm flank, Attack down, defense down, and basically that means next turn you're taking a lot of damage. And she can remove all buffs from the party except permanent ones, which is the protection of the Netherworld one. So relying on buffs is definitely not recommended. And I don't know what happened, but during the time that I actually took her down, she launched her Noble Phantasm, used a skill that fully filled up her MP gauge, and launched her Noble Phantasm again. I don't know if that was normal or what happened there, but she actually did that. So yeah, versus Tiamat, yeah, it's actually pretty difficult. It's actually a very long fight. The skill steal is very annoying. The random MP seal is actually the most threatening thing you have to worry about it. So yeah, bring along your Skathek, bring along your Enkidus if you have them. Stunning her is definitely a viable strategy with those two, buying you time to heal up and everything else. So yeah. But out of all of the fights, the one I mentioned earlier was against the Corrupted Ushiwakamaru. Against this one, this is without a doubt the most difficult one because of the Earthquake and because we're also taking 1,200 damage every turn. So yeah, this is without a doubt the one you will probably have the most trouble with. The fights against Tiamat are definitely interesting and a lot of fun. The final one can take a little bit, but it's okay because it's the final fight. But yeah, that is what ended up happening for me at least during the Babylon chapter. So hopefully you find this useful, and we will see you next time because as you can see in the title screen, Chapter Solomon is basically already announced because once you finish up Babylon chapter, they tell you basically we are going to be facing off against King Solomon before the end of the year. Because according to the story, basically at the end of this year of 2018, the world will end. So we need to finish off King Solomon before the end of the year. So you can expect probably tomorrow on Tuesday for them to announce the Solomon chapter, which will probably happen on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, make sure you use those golden apples we're being given, and make sure you finish off Babylon as quickly as possible so you can be ready for Solomon. And remember that in Solomon, your servants that have a bond level of 5 or higher get bonus stats. At level 10, they have 100% bonus stats. so make sure you level up those bonds. So anyway, we will see you next time.